It also means chaos in the oil markets. West Asia produces a third of the world's oil. If there is a war here, oil supply will be the first casualty. There would be a shortage and prices would go up. In fact, it's already happening. There is a supply shortfall. And this is before the war, as in a wider Iran-Israel war. It is yet to break out. We hope it doesn't. But irrespective, oil supplies are already under stress. And prices are expected to remain high through the year, at over $100 per barrel. And this is not due to the conflict in West Asia. This is a deliberate ploy to shrink supplies. And it's being orchestrated by the US and OPEC, two major players in the global oil market. Their decisions and their actions are squeezing the pipelines. Let's start with OPEC. That's the Organization of Petroleum Exporting Countries, OPEC. It's an oil cartel with the world's biggest producers as its members. There are 13 countries in OPEC. They have almost 80% of the world's known oil reserves. They produce 40% of the world's oil. So you can say OPEC controls the global oil markets, and their favorite tactic is production cuts. Whenever OPEC wants to make more money, they curtail oil supplies. And that's exactly what they're doing right now. In November last year, OPEC met with its allies. They decided to slash production significantly. By how much? 2.2 million barrels per day. That represents 2% of the world's oil production. So every day the global markets have less oil available. Their supply has reduced by 2%. And they had a meeting again in March. They decided to extend production cuts till the month of June. Now, this has pushed up global prices. Since December, the price of Brent crude has climbed by more than 20%. That is OPEC's gift to the world. And the Americans could make it worse. Through their sanctions, they're going after oil-producing nations. This month, the US sanctioned Venezuela, which is a major producer of both oil and gas. American sanctions target both Venezuelan oil and gas. So they'll have a tough time selling it in the international market. Venezuela will not be able to accept payments in dollar, which is the de facto currency for energy trade. America's next target could be Iran. There is growing speculation that the US could sanction Iranian oil. This is over the attack on Israel last Sunday as punishment. Earlier this week, the US Treasury Secretary dropped some hints.
The attack by Iran and its proxies underscores the importance of Treasury's work to use our economic tools to counter Iran's malign activity.
Sanctions on Iranian oil will only worsen the supply situation. The US has already made it hard for the world to access Russian oil. Last month, Indian buyers had to reject some oil cargoes. They came from a company called PJSC Sovcom Flot. Now, this is a major transporter of Russian oil. Last year, this company delivered a fifth of all Russian oil purchases by India, 1/5 of them. But now Indian companies are wary of it. They do not want to take deliveries from this Russian supplier because it faces US sanctions. This is what oil politics looks like. A few powerful players hack the global market for their own gains. OPEC wants to raise prices. The United States wants to dictate who can sell oil to whom. This must be called out because it bleeds the global economy, especially countries like India that rely heavily on oil imports. They are sensitive to price fluctuations. OPEC and America are artificially cutting supplies and eliminating supplies from the market. Mexico has halted some of its oil exports. Countries like Libya and Sudan are engulfed by conflict, so they cannot boost supplies, which leaves us at the mercy of OPEC and the US. It's far from ideal. Our world is dealing with a slew of problems. The last thing we need is a turmoil in the oil market.